As a follow-up to that Motorola B1000, here's the back side of it. This, Scott had a question about it. I figured I'd go ahead and show you the back, what the chassis looks like. First of all, it's got a really nice back. I'm not sure what's supposed to be here. This is like a cardboard lined little box. Um, just a guess. I mean, I used to keep the RCA cables wrapped up in there. And as mentioned before, there's a speaker here. These are your speaker connections. And on the speakers themselves, you see there's a little jack there, so you can take these speakers off like this. They come off the hinges, and I can't get it back on with one hand, so I'm gonna have to, there we go. You can take the speakers off and hook up your cables here and get some better speaker separation. Here's that FM coupled to the line cord. It's got an accessory outlet here. I don't know if it's switched or not. I never even bothered to test it. I went ahead and removed the screw so we can get to the back. And here's the back. It's got an AM loop antenna in here. It's got the chassis, which actually uses a tube rectifier, which is kind of unusual. Let's see if I have a tube chart anywhere on here, and I don't. I think it's a 6CA4 or something like that. I think that's a tube that everybody always worries about shorting out, but I haven't ever had any problems with it. Here's your two 6BM8s right here. It uses a that's the phase inverter. That's a 6AV6, I think it is, which is commonly used in AA5s for detector, AM detector slash triode for the preamp on an AA5. But this one here, that tube is used. The triode part is used as the phase inverter to change the phase of one of these tubes. Ooh, those are good tubes. I think those are those Amperexes. I'm not sure what they are. Anyway, here's that FM front end that I was talking about before. Here's the little string that wraps around this shaft. So you basically, as that string is wrapped around the shaft, it goes around this little pulley, it pulls up and down, and there's an inductor in there that it uses for tuning the radio. Let's see, any other notable? Oh, this is the push-pull transformer for the woofer. What you can't see in here, because they're mounted under the chassis, are the two single-ended transformers that are used for the individual satellite speakers. I don't think you can see they're mounted in here, but take my word for it, they're mounted underneath the chassis there. As you can see, this has a nice, good-sized power transformer. I'm pretty impressed with the size of that power transformer. The little neon light, I think that neon light was bad. I had to replace that at one point to get the FM to work. It's got the little lights that light up the AM and FM dials. In fact, I'm going to probably, when I finish recording this, I noticed there's an imbalance in the light. I probably have two different kinds of light bulbs in there, so that was trying to drive me nuts. So I've got some what are these? Some 47s here. I'll put a couple 47s in there and hopefully take care of that problem. Let's see. Besides the speakers, I have a phono or tape input. That's your input. Tape recording. That's basically an output from the preamp. I think that's a line level amp. And then of course you have the FM antenna if you want to hook that up. Anyway, so there you have the chassis of the Motorola B1000. I really like. Oh, this is the capacitor filter cap. That's the original one. I actually had I was ready to restuff this. In fact, even back in the day, I actually bought a new cap from a outfit that builds them for you before I got smart enough to figure out how to do it myself. I never ended up installing it because this thing tested fine. I never had a problem with it. It gets warm, which you think, oh, it gets warm, it gets warm. Yeah, well, look at right here, next to these big, massive power tubes. I think I actually tested it one time by turning these off, you know, taking these things out of the circuit so there was no heat coming from this, and just left it on, and this cap doesn't get warm. So it's not heating up from internal heat, it's heating up from radiated heat from these tubes. That's something you got to watch out for. People who grab these cans and, oh, it's warm, it's bad. Yeah, well, if it's sitting right next to a tube, it's going to get warm, you know. That's the way it is. Anyway, nothing else to note on this, except it's a nice little set. If you happen to come across one, I'd recommend picking up. They're kind of unique, and they're a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to go replace these lights and go back to listening to music. Thanks again for watching. This is Dave WM.